Login accepted.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the tech capital of the world. We're going to live code today, Kevin. Working Obscura, making some stuff happen.
Back to our movie guessing game app. Love it.
Yeah. So write some Blazor code.
What are we adding today?
You know,
what are we doing, by the way?
I think we're going to work on the game setting panel. We had a game setting panel. We're going to save it to local storage. If you've never done that before, we'll show you how to do that.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
And then a little algorithm to figure out the decades for the dropdown. So I had to write a little algorithm to do it. So I'm going to talk about that. One of the things inside of C# that I had to be reminded of. So if you're new to C# or you do division ever, so this is maybe something you may be interested in. So we'll talk about that a little bit. So but yeah, we'll work on the game setting panel today. Get some stuff saving, so you don't have to like refresh it, stuff like that. So
I like it. I just want to do one thing though first. We do have a sales channel. I want to
yeah, we do.
Yeah, shameless plug. Before we jump in,
learn to code Blazor. Come to our course. We got 2 courses out. So if you're just watching this, we released the bug tracker course as well. So complete Blazor plus bug tracker. It's the most complete thing that you can get on planet Earth. I mean, we've looked at all the other courses. This is the most comprehensive project that you can put out there. I would say if you can build the bug tracker, you can pretty much build anything in Blazor. So
yeah, it has so many features in it, doesn't it? That you can copy over and use in other projects.
Possibly do. So if you're looking to get a job, the bug tracker still probably is the best project to show during an interview. So because of a lot of reasons, mainly that people recognize the product right away and like, oh, it's a bug tracker. We use one of those. We got Jira, or we have this other thing. And so they understand the problem set, and then they see that you've got all these features in it, and then they can recognize, okay, you can build professional grade software. So like this is a very professional kind of pro level course. So if you're coming in really experienced, you'll learn a lot. If you're coming in junior, start with complete Blazor. We'll get you all the way to the end. Either way, I think we got you covered. And it's $199 a year. $199 a year.
Use coupon code Blazor, and you get it for $199 a year forever. Like when it renews, it'll be another $199. It won't go up. We're not like cable.
But if you just want it for 1 year, you can use the whole thing. And we got all kinds of other courses too. So it's the whole platform that we have, just not those 2 courses, everything else. So
yeah.
Check it out.
Scroll down here, by the way. Everything is here. It's included.
Yeah.
Loads of stuff.
So a lot of stuff in there that you can go work on. But let's code up some Blazor. Let's see kind of where we're at here. I think I have it running here. And we'll see if we can guess a poster off the bat, Kevin. I got a poster for you.
Why not?
See if you can guess it. So, go.
Are we narrowed down to like genre or year yet at this point, or is this just open?
I don't know. So if I look at my settings right now, it's still 2000 to 225. So like it's still that.
So okay.
But it's green.
What's the tagline?
Everything that has a beginning has an end.
You know this one?
I don't know.
I don't know this one.
It's green, so I'm going to guess Matrix Revolution.
Matrix, right? Matrix. It's a good guess. It's a good guess.
Resurrections. That was the new one, right? Yeah, let's guess that.
Sure.
No, but Keanu Reeves takes the spotlight.
Okay,
and it was Revolution.
We're close. We're close.
There we go. We're getting good at this game, all right? So yeah.
Okay, so what feature we're going to add then to this? What's on the front side here? What are we changing?
So one of the things, we have this setting panel, and what I want to be able to do is, number one thing, the first thing we're going to do is, I had to hard code these years in here. So I'm going to build an algorithm to figure out what the decades are, so that these are kind of dynamic, and we don't have this kind of janky 2025 thing in the beginning, and so like, and this is out of order because you have to just put this in there somehow. So like, we're going to dynamically create these drop downs, which is kind of cool. Blazor allows us to build HTML from code, which is cool. That's one thing we'll learn. Second, we'll need an algorithm to be able to figure out what the decades are, and then where does it stop? In our case, the last decade is going to be 2030 because we're in 2025 now, but we want it to search for anything plus.
We can't do up to 2020, right? Because that doesn't include 2021, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Right.
Right, exactly. So we'll go to the end of the decade. So we'll just do that. And then we'll come back and save these changes to local storage so that when we rerun the app, it'll go to local storage, pull our settings in, and make the movie that we want to do.
Okay, so now, if we run the app once and change these, it doesn't save, we're saying, right? But you're going to make it so that it does save.
I can do 1980 to 1990, save changes. And it's going to go out and make us a movie based on
do it now.
Yeah. So you can look at the settings here, and this is all in memory. So there's no like persistence of this data. So if I hit refresh here, you can see it'll change the movie, but we're back to the default setting.
Yep.
So, and that's because we don't have any way to persist the values, and we're going to use local storage for this.
Yeah, because we don't have an account tied to this, do we? So we can't tie it to an account.
No.
It's just, yeah, that makes sense.
There's no database. There's nothing like that. So we need a way to store these settings. We'll store them in the browser in something called local storage.
Cool.
All right, so let's write some code here. I'm going to stop our app here, and this is Blazor, and so I'm going to go over to the client project first, and we'll do those settings first. So I'll go to, let's see, components, UI components, game settings. All right, so I'm already here. All right, so this right here, you can see where I've just hard coded this input select. All right. And these are just options, and this is a select HTML component. And what I want to do is dynamically create these based on a start date and whatever the current date is. So we need to dynamically create it, and we'll do it for both of them. Okay. So down here, I've got some variables in here, and I got this one method here that runs when I hit the form. But I need a method that runs at startup. And so when this thing is startup, so Blazor has a couple of life cycle events, and one of them's called on initialize. So when this thing first kicks on, the first time it's created, it's going to run these values here. So I've got this thing called form model here, and this is the model that's posted here to this form. This form has 3 values: a start year, end year, and then it's got a genre, whatever we selected the genre ID is. All right, and so I can start this at any date that I want. And so I'm going to start this at 1900. We'll just go way back in the past. What do you think? I mean, you looked it up. It was like 1850 or something.
Yeah, it was. Like yeah. I mean, 1900 seems like it'd be a good start.
It's a good start. So we'll get some rare movies if we do 1900 to 1910. So we'll see what happens. The year end, we're gonna go ahead and keep that to this year end. So this will bring back 2025 in our case right now. Okay, and the selected genre. So these are the defaults that we want. So what I want to do is, in addition to setting the defaults, I want to go ahead and create a way to give the dropdown a bunch of decades. So let's go here and make another variable here right beside this one, and we'll just call this a private, and we'll say list And these are going to be, we'll call them decades. And they're going to be, let's see here. Set. And that's it. And then we'll initialize it to a blank array. So what we want to do is fill this up with a bunch of decades. So we need an algorithm to do this. So the one way that I came up with to do this is write a simple for loop in the initialization. So this will only run once. And we'll call it year instead of I. And we're going to, let's create, you can start it at 1900, but I'm going to create a variable to do this. We'll do the, I'll come back and initialize this differently here. And then, and I need a variable here, the current decade. So I'm going to go figure out what the current decade is. I don't have a variable for that yet, but we'll go ahead and call something like that. And then every time I loop around, I'll plus 10 on it. All right. So basically, I need to figure out the current decade. And as long as it's less than that, the year is. And then I'm going to like add to it. Okay. So what I can do is I'm going to create some different variables here. So let's put our year start. We'll do it here because it doesn't really matter where we do it. Int year start. And we'll just go to 1900. And then we'll change this around a little bit. I just didn't feel like typing in form model everywhere. Okay. And then I need...
you called that year state, by the way, instead of year start.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Thanks. It was consistently wrong. So
at least copying and pasting it made it right, technically.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't going to fail.
Yeah. And let's get our current year. All right. So that'll be our current year. And that's how we get it. All right. And what I need to now is get the current decade. And this is our algorithm. It's not hard, but like if someone asks you this question, if you do the math in your head, you'll be wondering why this works and why it doesn't work. So current year is 2025. We divide that by 10, and then we multiply it by 10, and this will return 2020. But if you're playing along at home, you got your pen and paper out, or you got your fingers, or you got rocks out, maybe you got an abacus or something like that, and you're like, hey man, 2025 divided by 10 is 202.5. If I multiply that 10, it would give me 2025, not 2020. But one of the things inside of .NET is when you're dividing things, it looks at these types here, and they're both integers. So it does integer division. And so it'll truncate it to 202. And then if I go 2025 divided by 10, the answer to that is 202 because it's integer division. And I multiply it by 10, I get 2020. So hopefully, if you're ever doing that at home, this is something that could happen inside of an algorithm when you don't realize the types are being passed in, especially if you're doing numbers in here or you're doing variables, you know what the type is. But based on the type, determines the type of division it does. If I type this to 2.0 or 10.0 right there, then suddenly this is going to do a double, and it'll do a different type of division right there. The reason this is giving me a red error is because it's saying I'm trying to cast this into an int, and I can't do that. So for this to work, I'd have to actually come over here and change this to a different type coming back. So that's a little free little thing there that you may run into. All right. So I thought about doing a YouTube video on it, but Jacob said this is too easy.
I don't know, because I think while it's one of those things that I think is like, oh yeah, of course, But then you're like, if you were working on this and you didn't realize that, and you did want it to be like have decimal places, and it didn't work, and you're like, no, this is so dumb. Why doesn't this math work? You'd be kicking yourself.
You know, he says, if you don't know that, you know, he says, you know.
This would be me doing it on a calculator, being like, no, I can see it right here. I see it written out. Like, why isn't my program running the same way that the calculator is?
And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to have a moment of humility here. I wrote this in the beginning, and I wrote it thinking this is what I'm going to do. All right. And I'm going to be honest. I wasn't thinking about integer division. I actually made a mistake when I wrote this because I normally you would have to do something like in JavaScript, you'd have to do something like math.floor or something like that. I don't know if there's a floor inside of C#, but
you're forcing it to become an integer, right?
Truncate it, yeah. You know, and so I just wrote this, you know, and then my drop downs, you'll see in a second, do work, and then it struck me like, wait a second,
that math's wrong.
2.5. That didn't work. And I said it to the debugger. I was like, why is it returning 220? Like, why is it doing that? Like, it's like, that's stupid. Like, you know, like, and I was thinking I did something wrong, but then I was like, oh, energy.
Yes. Sometimes you just happen to get the right answer, even if you weren't planning on it, right?
Exactly. All right, so we've got our current decade now. This will return 220. And so now our year start, we're going to make sure that we're going to make some assumptions. We're going to start with a decade. We're not going to start with 1901 or anything like that to confuse our algorithm. So if that bothers you, then you could take the start year and convert it to a decade, you know, if that's what you want to do. But this is my program. I'm going to start with 1900. Okay. So we can start with whatever we want. I'm going to make sure it starts at a decade just so we have decades all the time. So I'm going to say year, year equals year start. So that's going to be 1900 here, right? And then it's going to look at the decade and go, hey, you know what? As long as it's less than 220, keep adding them. And then it's going to jump 10 years every time. So the first time 1900, next time 1920, you know, or whatever, or 1910, 1920, 1930. So we're going to do it a decade at a time. It's arbitrary, I know. We could put every year in here and we wouldn't even have to worry about this, but that's not what we're going to do. We want to do decades. And so then I'll add the decades per year to this array. And then once I have that, I'm going to do one more check down here. I'm going to say if current year, and we'll say current year is less than current decade. All right, so this is after this loop runs. We're gonna add the current decade plus 10 just to get the last value in here, something like that. All right, maybe there's a better way to do it, but this works, and we're gonna move on. All right, so now I've got this decades right here that I can loop over, and what I can do is come over here now and replace this, which is kind of cool. So all I have to do now is write a little bit of a for each loop right here to replace this. So for each, and this is, in my opinion, one of the really great things about Razor code and the way the Razor syntax works with C# is that making these dynamic UIs is really cool. Like, so it still keeps the consistency of looking at it like HTML, and then you have these code sprinkled in. And when you look at the React, it's expression based. So you have more power in the language here, in my opinion. Doesn't mean the other one you can't do it and you can learn how to do it, but it makes it so nice. And this is one of the big things about Blazor and Razor pages in general, is that they've always had this kind of dynamic UIs type thing. So then I can come here. I'm going to do the same thing, the same loop. And so that's going to be in here just like that. So we've made it 2 loops, same thing whatsoever. And then we're setting the value here. So we're going to set the value to model year start and model year end. All right. Okay. If we come down here, we're going to set the current decade right here. So I'm going to set this to current decade instead of the current year. So we want to do we'll just do it the current decade. It doesn't really matter because we're going to set these from game settings anyway. So we'll just set the current decade plus 10. All right, something like that. We'll see what it does. So if I run this now, I think it'll work. Hope it does. And we should have drop downs in there and then have default values set in there. Okay, so we do have a value in here, right? And then notice it didn't set this one, but we do have values in here. Ooh, look at that. 2030 didn't come in there, so we need to figure out why that didn't happen. All right. So let's set a breakpoint and look and see why we didn't add our decade code there. So something went wrong here. Oh, I know what it is. It's greater than. All right. So I did less than. So it's basically, this is 2025. It's greater than the current decade. This will come out as 2020. That'll be the current decade. And so this needs to be greater than that current decade. So we'll add another one. It'll work now. Now we have 2030, 1900, and it's still bringing a movie back. So we know that's Spider-Man. Spider. Question is, which one? When did Spider-Man 2? Oh, it's Spider-Man 2. There you go. You got it. All right. Kind of cool. All right. So now we have our settings in here. So that was pretty quick. So we're going to be done pretty quick today, Kevin, I think.
That's cool. That's cool.
That's all right. I mean, I think we'll be done pretty fast. So now we have these dynamic driven things, kind of nifty, and it's accurate. So just to make sure this is working, we'll just save changes here and see if we get a different film. We should. That definitely looks hand painted, so we know that's old. The cruel hand of intolerance. I don't know, man. Cruel. I don't know, man. I know it's not that. So Lillian, this is testing us, man. I don't know, man. And the hand. I don't know. The hand of God. It's not that. I know it's old. D.W. Griffin. That doesn't tell me anything.
Nope.
I don't know. Just guess again. It dropped in 1916.
Wow.
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh gosh, it looks like a baby. Okay, I knew Rosemary's Baby was old, but it's
not that old. It's not that old. It's 68.
So
maybe it was an OG version. I don't know. I
don't think
so.
Young woman separated by prejudice from her husband and baby is interwoven with the tales of intolerance from throughout history. So I have no idea what
intolerance.
This is. Intolerant. That's what it
I don't know.
like.
It's like maybe there's a clue in the movie thing there. I don't know. Is there one called Intolerance?
Intolerance, love struggle throughout the ages, 1960.
There you go.
We got
it's a classic.
Yeah. It's a classic, of course. Oh,
you hit play again instead of guess. That's all right. We got it.
I did,
but this works.
What I did. Okay, yeah, so it works. All right. So the next thing we want to do is I want to save this to local storage. So this will take a little bit longer, and we're going to write a brand new service to do this. So first thing we're going to do is write a service that we can inject into the client here. And so that we can kind of insulate kind of what we're doing. And so I'm going to write, first off, I'm going to write a new interface. Every one of the services that we write will have an interface. And that's so that we can inject them around. So there's the interface. And we'll say, we'll call it game settings service. The reason we're doing this as a service instead of just hard coding the page is because we could come back and maybe add this to a database one day in the future, but then our UI code wouldn't have to change. We could just implement the interface, change the methods that instead of going to local storage, it goes to the database, and that's kind of all you got to do. So I regret naming this obscure live. Let me make sure that it's underscore. Okay. Make sure you know what we're doing. Okay. Never name things with a dash. I regret doing that, but it is what it is. C# doesn't like it. So, all right. So the interface just describes kind of what we want. And so the first one that we want to have is get, and then we want to save. And that's all we're going to support for this, because local storage is an all or nothing type deal. So we'll just write 2 quick methods. And the type that we want to sit around is game settings. That's our model. And we'll say get settings. And just say get settings. I don't think I'm going to write it async, but if I do, I'll come out and change it. And then save. And then I don't need a reset. That's it. That's our 2 methods that we're going to write. The other thing that's real important about services when you're writing is we're also passing the model or the type around. And so that means that if this does change, our UI doesn't change because A, we're not changing the interface, and B, the same type of model is being passed back from either a database or local storage, doesn't really matter. And so therefore our code on the front end in our client application doesn't notice the change. So we don't have to change that. We just change the implementation. All right, so I'm going to write a new service down here too in the client. So this will be a client side service. And so I'm going to write new item, class, and we're going to call this game settings service. Notice that we have a naming convention we follow here. Our interface starts with I, and then our other thing does not start with that. So I, game settings service, is the interface, and just game settings service is the service. Right. And what we're going to do is implement an interface. So we should be able to see game settings service here. And let's get rid of this. Sometimes Copilot is wrong. Absolutely wrong. And do here is implement interface. Okay, so when I implement the interface, now it tells me what the signatures are, but it doesn't give me the code. And so that's the difference between an interface and a class. Interface just has the signature, and the class will have the implementation. So write the implementation of the actual code to make this happen. And so set up a private read-only string. And this is going to be, you got to know a little bit how local storage works, but we're going to write a local storage key. And this is the name of the string that we're going to look for inside of local storage. We can call it game settings, or we could call it obscura settings, whatever we want to call it. So I'll call it obscura settings. All right. And this is just the name of the string that's in local storage. And underneath that will be our 3 properties we're going to look for: year start, year end, and genre. All right. Okay. So our get game settings returns this type. And so we just need to look at local storage to go grab it. So I'm going to say game settings. And let's just get rid of this. This is dumb. So the first thing we'll do is we're going to create a variable that is an empty game settings. And then we're going to try and get the game settings out of local storage. And if it's not, then we'll have this game settings correctly with defaults. Now, if you go look at our model over here, our game setting model, which is what this is based on, these have defaults, 2000 to current year. Okay. And our selected genre is null, which will mean a return. It'll do an all genre search. All right. So that is why this will work, is that we have defaults inside of our model. When we instantiate a new class or new instance of that class, it'll put these default values in it. Cool. All right. So what I'm going to come over here is I've got a game settings, and now I need to write a quick try. And I like doing this real quick. All right. So I don't forget to write my catch statement. And this is where my code is. And so what I need to do is get to local storage, and local storage is done via JavaScript. Okay. So this class needs to have the JS runtime injected into it. So I'm going to come here in the primary constructor, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to inject JS runtime in here. JS runtime. There we go. We'll call it JS runtime. Okay, so now this is going to be injected in here when this thing gets instantiated. I'll show you how to do that in a second. And from here, we'll say var JSON. And remember, local storage is all JSON. So we'll say await. And what we're going to do is invoke async and get a string coming back. And we're going to call the JavaScript method local storage.getItem or getItem. And then we're going to pass the value to that JavaScript function, the local storage key. So it'll say getItem obscura settings and return that JSON object to me. All right. And so I get this as a JSON string. And then the next thing I need to do is turn that JSON string into an object. Right. So I'm going to say game settings equals JSON serializer. I may have to find it. Okay. And what it'll do is take this JSON string and turn it into this type right here with the serialize. And if it's null, that's what these double question marks are doing, it'll just give me a new one. Either way, I get a valid game settings object coming back. And then at the end here, I return game settings. So no matter what happens here, this will return a valid game settings module, either the one with the defaults or the one it found inside of local storage. It should work every time. And if there is an error, it will write one. And you can go look at the console and see why it didn't find one. But this can be very fault tolerant. It will return a valid method here. All right, so let's write a save real quick. It's the opposite of this. So we'll say try. And here, catch. And from here, what I want to do is var JSON equals JSON serializer. And this time I'm pushing it into it. So I want to serialize it. And then in here, I pass the object in, and that will turn this into a JSON string, which then I can then take the JSON runtime and call setItem. And I'm going to use my local storage key here. Storage key and the value that I want. Okay, so what's going on here is this is just a JavaScript interrupt. And so if you know the local storage API, it's built into the browser. So that's why I don't have to load a JS file for this. It's built in the browser, just like there's a lot of APIs built into the browser. One of those is local storage. set item as a method. All right. And it takes a couple of parameters, and then we're passing 2 parameters, the key that I'm looking for, and then the values I want set. Now, the way this works, this doesn't work like databases. A set, in our case, will overwrite whatever's there. This is an all or nothing. That's the way local storage works. And get will get everything, and set will overwrite what's there. So we really don't need a delete or a reset or anything like that. Anytime we set it, it just overwrites the old values with the new values. We're passing the entire object, so it overwrites whatever there. So whatever's in this object will replace whatever's in current value of local storage. All right, so that is our service method. It's pretty cool. Now we can come to program CS, and every method has to be registered. So we're going to write a register here to do it. And this is right before build, and we can say builder services. We're going to add scoped and game settings service. That's our interface. And then this is the concrete class that I want to call. That's it. So this registers this service inside of our dependency injection container, which allows this service to be injectable around. So now it knows about these classes, and it knows what code to run, right? And we're using an interface because we could change the concrete class, and we don't have to change the way it works because the interface will be consistent, right? All right, so then we can come back to game settings here, and let's see if we can, or our model here, our UI, and see if we can implement this service inside of here. We may not need to. In fact, let's think about it. We don't need to. What we need to do is I need to pass this back. So one of the things that we talk about inside of Coder Foundry is dumb components. The page pushes the component. You put a component on a page, the page passes its values, and then it does something with them, and then it passes it back. And so if it's integrating with local storage or a database, whatever, the page does that. The component needs to be abstracted from that. And that's one of our rules that we do when we're building components, is make components dumb. Everything it needs should be passed in, and then it passes back the changes to you, and then you handle how you propagate those changes either to a database or call an API, in our case, local storage. So this guy, this UI component needs to send back whatever the game settings are. And so on submit, we are doing that. So we're doing that on submit. We do send them back. Okay. And it's already sending back this game setting model here. Okay. And on initialize, what I want to do is set the game settings coming in. Okay. So currently right now, we're just making it new every time. And so what I want to do is pass it in a game setting model. All right. So let's get rid of this line here. In fact, we're going to change the name of this to make it better. All right. But let's make another parameter. So first thing we're going to do is parameterize. Say it's editor required and public. And all that we're going to do is pass in a game setting model. Okay. Something like that. Except I change the name of this because I don't like form model anymore. I'm going to call it game settings. That's what it is. I'm not sure why we did that, but we did. Okay. So now I'm going to come up here, and because I'm changing this won't compile anymore. And I'm going to just change away this form. Instead of form model, I'm going to call it game settings. Boom. And then everywhere that I had form model, I need to change. Just a little quick refactor here. Did I get them all? All right, let's Found some more. Okay. All right. Now we don't need to do this anymore either. Because game settings is being passed in. So we do not need to do that anymore. All right. So on initialize, this is being set for us. So we're going to send this in here. That's pretty cool. All right. So we don't need to initialize it here. It's being initialized up here as a parameter. So that's kind of cool. All right. All right. And then here, handle submit. We're going to change this to game settings. And this will pass it back if we have any saved changes, and close our Bootstrap doc or thing. All right. So let's go back over to now to our page here. So if we go to our page, we only have one page. That's pretty easy. And we'll see where we're setting our panel down here that it no longer, it's giving us warnings here. And so we need to set game settings equal to something, right? That's what we need to do. And we're going to have an object here probably. Let's see what we have here. And so we need to, in our initialize, probably need to grab some code out on initialize and call our service to set game settings up. So I think that's what we'll do, but we need a game settings model. So let's add it right here. Okay, this is a problem. I think it's a problem. Let's see if that works. See, I may have to change the way this is working. Let's see here. That'll work. Didn't like it. I think it's all right. I'm going to change this to game settings. All right, so we're going to start with a capital G here. And now I have to change this again. Sorry about that. All right, now let's see if that'll work better. Fine. Reclaim this. Okay, so I'm going to set this up here. What I'm going to do is call our service here, and I need to inject it. So I need to go to the top and inject our service, just like we did this other one. So I'm going to inject, and we'll just say game settings, game settings service, just like that. And then I can call this down here now. All right, so there should be, wait, game settings, service, get game settings, async, and I know that's not what I called it. All right, get game settings. All right. So I should have named them async, but I didn't. I should have, but like I could come back and change it. But like I think this will give our game settings here. And let's make sure, what is this saying here? Convert live components UI game settings to live component models. Okay, game settings model. All right, and this is, oh, this is not what I want. This is the model. I am an idiot. Let's just call this model here. Okay. Okay. So we have a model and then we have a UI component, and I was trying to set to the UI component, but this is, we called it model, which is fine. Okay. So this is all right in the world now. So this is like the model here, and this is the instance, and we're passing it into our page now. Model, get game settings service. Let's just see what it is. Get game settings. What's it saying? Okay, so then we need to go back to our service here, and this is all wrong. We got to return the model here. Okay. Okay. And change all this around. This is why naming things is so important. Like, this is just a problem naming this thing game settings. So, but we'll get through it. Okay, so I think we're good now. I've got to change my interface too. Okay, so now we've got the game settings model put together. We should be good now. Let's see here. This is right. Got a parameter coming back. Go look at our page. This is working. And this is working. All right. So I think that we should be able to save values, I think. What do you think, Kevin's going to work? A lot of code, but you know.
Let's see. Sure. I think so.
Okay, where does this page? Has got an error? No, oh, got to change our registration. So let's see here. In settings service. In settings service. Okay, game setting model. Model. Let me make sure. From CS game settings service. It should be fine. Why I didn't like that.
You do have a typo right there. Game setting SERIVCE on that line there. At the end.
Okay. Why does it?
Well, maybe it's misspelled wrong here too, right? Because it matches.
It is. We need to collect it no matter what. So I was just going too fast there. Okay. So this is the service here. We'll just copy that name. That's the name of the class. All right. And then this should break now. All right. And then boom, that should work. Double G. GG. All right. All right. Let me look at the error again. See what the error was. I registered it. I created it. I can't find it. That's what it's saying. Registered service of this type. Okay. Let's see. Did I not? Builder services add scope. This is the type, comma. Nope. Okay. Let's see here. Just make sure that it's already in there. I see the services. Okay. Go back to our page here. Oh. I've got a restaurant on the server side too. So, which is fine. So pre-render works. So you have to register your services in both sides. There we go. All right. All is right in the world. So we have Scarface up here, but that's not what we care about, right? We care about these values here. So let's see if we can save them. And 1900 to 1920. And we'll do horror movies. Save changes, see if it works. And we can check our tools here. And I'll bring this over here. I usually separate these on a different screen. So like you can look into application and you can look in local storage and we should see key in there, but it's not in there. All right. Let's see what the problem is. All right. Got to hit save. Save. And now let's look at it one more time. If not, we'll troubleshoot it and see what the deal is here. And there's nothing in there. Okay, that sucks. We do have some errors here. Okay, and then we got some other things here. It's okay. I don't know what these are. Resource was preloaded using leave, but what they, that's okay. Let's see what happened. So let's click through. All right, so I'm gonna go to our game panel, game settings here. We can also look in our console to see if we got an error. Let's see here. Okay. See what's happening. Did I call save? On submit invoke game settings. Oh, let's see here. Did not do a save. That's I'm an idiot. All right. So we got this method here, apply game settings here on submit. And we need to save this to the database. So let's look here and see if we got a method down here. Apply game settings. Maybe we do. If we haven't written one, maybe we need to. Good hints. Select movie. On input change. Search movies. Build hits. Models. Let's get rid of this. We don't care about models. Poster hints. Square. There we go. All right, so this apply settings comes back and we're resetting it in memory, but we never really called our save. All right, so we need to inject our service in here and then we can actually save these settings. So we have our game settings service that we have in the page. We're just not using it. All right, we used it to get it right here, but we didn't call it to save it. So let's go down here and make sure that it's saving. Okay, play again. And we'll just save it. Save our state. Instead of get, we'll hit save. I don't think that's what I called it. But let's look at it. I did call it async, all right? I used to pass it, the game settings in here to it. And then that's it. So now this should save. So let's just recompile it and run it and see if it'll save. And I think we got it after that, Kevin. I think we're done.
Let's see. Sounds good.
Should save. We'll get an early lunch today. Right before Memorial Day. All right, so got a movie here, some kind of Monsters Inc. movie. And then here, this isn't setting. We need to look at that, but I'm going to change that to see if this will save here. So we'll test them all. So 1940 to 2030 horror movies. Just remember those three settings. In case I forget, hit save. And it did change it, and that is Saul of some sort, but that doesn't really matter. We need to know if we have a settings now. There it is. Look at that. So now this is the local storage here, and we have obscure settings as our key. And these are our values. And you can see year end is 2030, year starts 1940, and our selected genre is 27, which applies to the IMDb type. So if you can't see that, you know, maybe.
Yeah, it's hard to see on here. It's really bright and small. But there you go. There you go. Now I can see it.
So like that's a little tall. But like you can see here, I've got the value here, right there. Kind of cool. This is how it's looked. This is JSON, and this is the JSON kind of broken out. So you can see kind of how it works. So it's storing the settings. The question is, you know, does it work? So if I go to settings here, you can see I've got these values. If I refresh the page, I should get the values back. Got a new movie. All right. And it's Beautiful Minds. And that's weird. Not sure that's horror, but let's see here. Okay. But we need to see if it's actually being set.
Yeah. It seems like it's not, right?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that works.
It seems like that's there, but it hasn't saved the changes, right? I think that's...
Yeah, it would save the changes. The question is, did it
save the changes in that drop down? Yeah, but didn't apply it to the
movie, because this is like a Mockingjay or something.
Yeah.
That's not right. All right.
Nah.
So let's just fix one more thing here and see kind of in our reset here. So this is our page. And so apply game settings, new game settings is being passed in or getting created, but let's look to see if it's doing it. And then we'll look and see kind of what else we missing there. Okay, so let's look, and it stopped. So I can look at this right here, and I can tell you this 2025 to 2030, these are the defaults. It's going to call this, and boom, it's got the settings. This did not work. For whatever reason, this isn't working. So let's look at our service here. Game settings service. And let's see what we're doing here. What's going on here? So game settings. Oh, we did our model there. Okay, the model. Let's get out in local storage key. Local storage key is obscure settings. All right, all I can do is set this right here and then let it continue and then rerun the page again. All right. Step over. Step over. So game settings is defaults. And then this should get JSON back, right? It did. 1940 to 1930, 27. Then deserialize it. Let's go over here. 27 to 2030. That's right. So it pulled it back.
But it's somehow not pushing them back into the... when it's pulling the movie back. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see kind of what
our
movie's
that part works,
at.
right? Because we refresh the page, so we know the form part
settings
works.
Are working.
Yeah, the setting part works. It's just...
So initialize. And then new game. Okay, so this is like... these values are coming from somewhere. Okay, let's see what we did wrong here. Because we are... oh. I bet you we just need to like start. To see where I'm missing. All right, let's walk it through. So like on initialize, I got my game settings. They don't have to render It calls play again. So play again resets the game state. First, let's look at reset game state. That just resets the squares. Okay, and then it calls new game. Let's look at new game, see where we're missing it. Where's new game? Again, close it relay. State. New game, random movie, year start. We don't set these things, so these are not being reset when I get this. So these are the values. It's so weird though. This is so weird. I don't understand. I'll look at this thing again. I want to start over again. I think I know what to do. I just want to, I'm trying to figure out like where it's getting these values from. Okay. This is my local storage key. I don't care about that. We know it's coming back right. And then try that. Yep. Mm-hmm. So basically, I'm just not honoring these game settings I just set. So I just changed my code here, right here. So this will just be. Okay. Okay, so this is applying it. So it should be calling this. I don't know why it's not calling this. Oh, I thought it was. For some reason. Not calling that. Let me just, it's not a UI. I thought this was working, but on submit. And it calls apply game settings, I thought. Because it's saving it. And this is getting set right here, year start, year end, and selected genres, but whatever. All right. Okay, which one did it not like? Okay, so this is int, convert it to a string.
Yeah, Jacob says you only, or you aren't calling it when the page loads. You're only calling it when you apply game settings.
Yeah.
Which I thought that's what was going to be the case. When you hit the button, it does it, right? But then, yeah.
It threw an error too. Let me just put it back and just call it apply game settings when I get it. I think that will work better instead of doing it two different ways. It's just an oversight on my part. Game settings. And then in new game, just go back the way we were doing it. Let's see what are those things called? Year start, year end, selected genres. Okay, let's try it again. This should work. That way I don't have to change that one method and then do it two different ways. I don't know why I missed calling apply, but we'll do it. Okay, that looks like a horror movie of some sort.
It does.
Prepare for the second coming, you know. I don't know. Jason. Freddy versus Jason. I don't know. Dakota Johnson takes the spotlight in this one. Dakota Johnson was in a horror movie?
No idea.
Huh?
I have no idea. That revealed another square then, by the way. Did you see that?
Yeah, we need to look at that too.
I don't know why I did that.
Final Destination. Sus.
I have no idea what movie this is. This is not my genre of movies.
2018. It's like sus. I don't know. I don't know. Let's try it. Never heard of that movie.
Oh, never heard of it.
Never heard of that one. Suspiria.
Again, not my genre of movies, but it's fit the criteria. Play again, make sure that it works. Change the genre.
Change it up. What do you want?
Do animation. Animation's obvious. It's obviously going to be an animated
animation.
Movie, so.
Yeah, and then we'll go 2000 to 2030 maybe, or
just do one decade somewhere. Make it old. It isn't old because we'll know if it's.
And then we'll go to 2010, right? That's pretty old, right?
Sure.
I don't know what animation. Well, I guess you have.
It doesn't. Yeah, it's going to be obvious. So there you go. So it did work. It is an animated movie from.
Yeah, I did flash it. Like I didn't like. It is animating it.
Yep.
It looks like Scooby Doo.
Which one? There's probably hundreds of them. But that worked.
Casey Kasem, yeah. He does the voice of Shaggy. There's no telling which one this is. Because there's been a bunch of these.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I have no idea.
That doesn't look like WrestleMania. Like Big Top, Zombie Island. That looks like it is. Yeah. Nope. Mystery Flick dropped in 2005. Let's see here. That year does help, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though there's 97 of these and it's still not on that list. That's funny.
Oh my gosh.
I found the one example where there's like...
I don't know. Yeah. Okay, we messed up. All right, so it looks like we've got it working. We got our genres in here. If we refresh it, it should come back with an animated movie. And that looks Kung Fu Panda of some sort.
It revealed 2 squares though, look too.
Yeah, why is it doing that?
And why is it only randomly doing that? Why didn't it do that on every time you start it?
All right, new game. All right, so...
You jinxed it by saying you were done. You do realize that, right?
I know, I didn't change it. I didn't change anything. Apply game settings must be doing something. Play again. Okay. All right. I think what I'm going to do is, because this is calling play again, it's probably some weird way. I think what I'm going to do is just change the variables here. Instead of calling apply, because I'm using that when it's coming back from the other thing and I want it to reset, and just on startup, it gives it a problem. So let's see if this works. Is that animated?
No.
This Black Widow in it.
Is our settings still even there?
Let's look.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely not animated.
Definitely not.
But I'm assuming when you play again, it's going to work, right? It's
That's animated. Okay, let's refresh it, because this will recall our initialize.
Yeah, not animated.
Okay. All right, let's look at it one more time here. I thought we were going home early.
You jinxed it.
I know, man. Just all right. And that's the only settings that we care about. UI here. Refresh. Huh. Oh, that's the year end. Okay, I'm looking at year end. Okay, so step over. Year start, year 2000. This should come back with a value. It's 0. This is 0. Why is that? This isn't working. We thought it was. Oh, that's preload. All right. So when it pre-renders, it won't hit the browser. So like, it does get called twice. So 2000, step over, 2010, step over, genres. Okay, so I see what we did now. All right, so we do need to reset this thing every single time, because we're calling on after render play again. So let's see what play again does. Calls new game, and new game gets a random movie. Okay, so this should work then. All right. If I refresh it, it will work. I think it is. That's not. Let's try it one more time. Okay, Independence Day. Independence Day. Yep. Okay, it's just the first time out. All right, let's make it work again. All right, so let's see, apply game settings. If I hit play again. That works. So I think I need to come back and refactor this, Kevin. I think I have two states of something that I don't like here. And this is awaited. Let me stop that. That's what I want it to do. So I'm going to call this, and we're going to make this work the way it should. When I tried this the first time, it didn't work. We're going to make it work the way it should. And what's this? This is awaited. All right, let's try this now. This is the way it should work. Or I need to call it a different event. I don't know what this is. Gerard Butler takes a spotlight in this one. Is this? Is this an animated film, Kevin? Do you know?
I have no idea. Just guess anything. I don't know.
It is an animation flick. I think it's work. Spiderwick Chronicles. 2009. This looks about right. Nope. Black. Something. I'm trying to get this right, but I just need to give up. Black Freighter, Tales of the Black Freighter, close. All right, that's an animated film, so it does work. On refresh, there's 2 render modes here. I think it works. It's a little clunky, so it's going to do it twice, yeah. And then it's going to go again and reveal that, right? So the reason is it's rendered on the server, and then because we run a WebAssembly, it runs in the background. And so what I need to do is turn off pre-rendering. But let's just get this working. So like apply game settings. Sets the settings, but it doesn't reset the game state, but it calls play again, which does reset the game state, which should make the squares not appear. So we reset game state. That's what it's doing. Squareless is new. Boom. And then guess is new. False, false. I wonder if I just do this. How many times this gets called? This does call play again. Resets game state, which just calls new game. Apply game state. Let's try it like that. Yeah, it didn't call it. This time it will. That's definitely the matrix of some sort. It's just the matrix. Okay. Play again. We gotta fix some stuff, man. It's just dumb. All right. Okay. So we're not calling anything here for at all. Like we're just setting the game settings, and then on after render, it calls play again. And then we need to reset the game settings here. The first time it comes through, it's not going to have the game settings. That's so weird. I just think what is the error now? What is it saying? Yeah. The error is just saying that it doesn't know where the game set's not set yet. So I don't know why that came up. PG admin. Lord, this thing's going crazy, Kevin. Yes. Why are you doing that? So I'm just going to turn off pre-rendering, but I don't know how to do it exactly. So, okay. Don't think that's how you do it. I don't think that's how you do it. Okay. I think this will do it. So what it is, it's rendering twice, and our game settings isn't there on the first render, and it shows it. And then we don't want the pre-render to happen, but it's going to throw an error. But I can't remember how to like turn pre-rendering off. Yeah, things they can't find it. All right, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, I don't know. Now it's not working at all. Let me make sure my settings are set. Now it's not bringing the settings in at all. Okay. This here. See how this times this is running now. Just once. Okay. Now. Game settings. So what we're going to do is just change this how it works entirely. Just do it like this. There we go. Finally. That makes for the best television, Kevin, but like we did it. So there's a couple of really sophisticated things that goes on with Blazor that sometimes like this can cause you problems. And so like we're trying to get the state out of local storage. Local storage only exists on the browser. There's two things that happens. The first thing, in order to be fast, it tries to render the page from the server. So it sends down a server request. All of our services, when TMDB and everything, runs on the server first. So it'll give you a poster. But it doesn't have the game settings because the game settings exist in the browser. And we were running this as interactive server. If I was running this as WebAssembly, it wouldn't have mattered. It would have just worked. But interactive server means that it has to create a singular connection to the page, and then from there it can then access the browser. But it tries to render it once first, so it has a quicker startup time, and that caused the wrong poster to show up first. And then once it's in interactive mode and we hit play again, it would go and say, "Oh yeah, I can see game settings now." So while sometimes you want it to happen, there are cases like this where you don't, And hindsight 2020, if you're writing a client-side app, you should probably run a WebAssembly, not interactive server anyway. But you can see that's an animated movie now. We got our settings. If I change this to 80 to 90, something like that, and we'll save it with animation, it should come back. It's still animated. So pretty cool. I don't know what this is, but escape. Just run it here. We'll make sure it's animated, maybe. The movie was The Plague Dogs. That looks animated to me.
Just to me. Never heard of it, but sure. It
says adventure flick in 1982.
Yeah.
But it looks animated, right? So anyway, I think it's working now. So what we'll do next week is we'll come back and maybe do our final thing here when we have our actual win condition. We'll just show the trailer or whatever right there. It's animated, whatever it is. So anyway, so I think we've got really close to what we want now, and it's back to working after I tried 1,000 things and got it working. Ran into a bug that I created myself because of the way Blazor works. It's normally what you want to happen is pre-rendering is a good thing, but sometimes it's not. So, all right. Well, Kevin, the world of coding is always fraught with problems.
Yeah, yeah, but we got there. It's cool. I like it.
We get paid the big bucks, to figure crap out, So like, but that was it's just a timing issue, like when that thing is getting the settings and when it's not, and it's going to get a poster. So,
yep.
Maybe I can refactor that and get it to be more solid. But what I did is just turn pre-rendering off. And
okay.
I couldn't remember how to do that because I don't do it every day. So right. I had to Google it. So it's a specialized C# command in here that sets this pre-render to false. So,
okay.
But so, hey, maybe there's a guy out there who's writing Blazor who doesn't know how to do this, and he'll learn vicariously through my pain and embarrassment.
There you go.
So,
It's all right.
All right. Well, if you want to learn Blazor, check out our course, and we can help you get there. And we'll see you next time. See you. Have a great weekend. You guys have a great Memorial Day.
Yep. We'll catch everybody next time.
Keep coding. See you guys later.